Hollywood is saying goodbye to DEI, and it's just in time for the holidays when you likely would not be otherwise paying attention. It's just too bad for the celebrities and the executives that, well, we are, and we continue to do so because the news never stops, and neither do we. We'll tell you why audiences have stomped all over Hollyweird's perverse ideas and ideals. They destroyed equity and inclusion. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we as ever endeavor to break apart that which is Hollywood and put it back together in a way that makes sense for everyone. And we're happy to do so yet again. Folks, we hope you're having a wonderful start to your holiday season. If you celebrate Christmas, we hope it is as celebratory as it can be. If you're a Hanukkah kind of person, then get out there and light those candles. Folks, there is a reason for the season, and we hope you are enjoying it indeed. All right, we've got an article out of AV Club, and it is this by Drew Gillis. Read this. Hollywood staffers reflect on broken DEI promises. And remember when this is coming out. Remember this is coming from the trades. In a new report from Vanity Fair, although you can bet it was leaked to them, those inside Hollywood discuss what went wrong with the industry's attempts to improve post-2020. Says it's almost hard to believe, given the recent spate of removing particular types of storylines from TV shows and disappearing content starring characters of color, that Hollywood made a very public effort to champion stories from non-white creators less than 5 years ago. The Black Lives Matter movement, of course, began long before the death of someone, but in the immediate aftermath of June 2020, Hollywood studios made a particular push to diversify the stories they told. Many studios invested in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and hired non-white staffers in roles from writer all the way up to executive. So how's that going? Now, I think, by the way, that this is not exactly accurate in the way that it's being told. I actually think that for a very long time, we have been moving in the right direction, and then that all sort of got blown up by a bunch of executives who brought in postmodern, neo-Marxist ideas and tried to, what would you say, hitch those upon the movement that was 2020, the summer of love. They wanted to bring in their postmodern, neo-Marxist, communist ideas, socialist at least, ideas and ideals, and attach those and use that as a Trojan horse to get those into Hollywood and into all kinds of other industries. And we've covered that now ad nauseum, and it made audiences ad nauseous. And we're done with it. We're done with it because instead of what would be ideal, which is to recognize the dignity and the humanity of every single person, regardless of the color of their skin or their ethnicity or where they come from or any of that kind of stuff, instead, these companies, these studios got stuffed with people who don't believe in success. They don't believe in beauty. And rather, they decided that they were going to ham-fistedly throw in quotas based on immutable differences for everything. And essentially, this turned into an attempt by white people at the top to empty out the white people below, but they still wanted their yacht, so they didn't leave their top spots. And it just created chaos. It created chaos. And if you'd like to see further what this did, just go look at the box office returns, because the box office today, despite ticket prices being something like 40% more expensive than they were in 2019, the box office today domestically is down by about 50%. $2 billion is what Disney will be making in the box office in total revenue worldwide, by the way, worldwide, $2 billion. And that's considered a celebration point because Disney's the only company to cross $2 billion at the box office in 2024. In 2019, Disney easily sailed to $4 billion. So this is diminishing returns greatly, and that is with every single effort made to drive ticket prices higher and get you to go to IMAX and 3D and buy the popcorn, etc. Popcorn buckets, we're looking at you. Nothing is working, and it's because what they did is they emptied out they emptied out their talent pools. They just tossed them aside. We covered this with Disney and Disney Animation, by the way. We covered how Jennifer Lee came in and just absolutely devastated the animation side of Disney, kicked out all the people who were at the top who had 30, 40 years of experience. And why? Because they were the wrong color, essentially. That's what we believe. And that's not good. There needs to be a way to live in harmony. And that's what these people missed out on. They went for this alternative idea that the way to fix the past if you assess the past to be completely broken, is that you must fix it in the reverse way that it was done. Well, that's not exactly right. If you want to tackle the issues of racism, you can't do it by being hateful and mean to another group of people. That just doesn't work. The correct answer has always been the answer that we've always known and we should live up to and attempt to, and it should be the ideal way for society to exist, and that is for us all to empty out the negativity in our hearts towards people who look or act differently than us as a generic template that we use to broadly brush, right? We know that. We know that we should approach every individual as the beautiful and infinitely valuable person that they are. But that is difficult. And it's much easier to slap a giant quota on, and that's what Hollywood did. Not great, argues a story published by Vanity Fair. Aside from the general fact that people in privileged positions tend to not give them up willingly, well, that's what we just said. The piece by writer Joy Press points to the two big reasons for the sidelining of these initiatives: money and politics. In the case of the first, it's no secret that Hollywood is not the gold mine it may have once been. Even before 2020, streaming was disrupting the revenue streams of traditional film and TV viewing habits. Now, you see what they're going to do here. They're going to claim that the entertainment business was already becoming less lucrative, and it's because of streaming. They need someone to blame. They need a scapegoat. They don't want to blame that they emptied out the talent pools. They redid the writers' rooms. They forced the writers' rooms to be diverse first and merit nowhere on the list, not even second or third. And they don't want to blame that. They don't want to blame that the quality of entertainment dropped dramatically and audiences said, see ya, I'll go somewhere else, right? And to do that, by the way, you have to force yourself to ignore. You have to put the blinders on when it comes to Top Gun Maverick. You have to put the blinders on when it comes to Godzilla -1. You have to force yourself to ignore that there were wonderful gems that drove audiences out there in numbers that really were remarkable, especially considering the budgets that we're talking about. You have to ignore that. Across the board, there's a quote: everyone has been suffering. Thimby Banks, a director and Emmy nominee for her work on Only Murders in the Building, tells VF, that's Vanity Fair, but there's that old adage, when white America has a cold, black America has the flu. And this is the issue, folks. The issue is that Hollywood is unwilling, and by the way, segments of our society are unwilling to move forward as brothers and sisters in humanity. And that is a multifaceted problem, by the way. I'm not blaming any particular people group. I'm blaming all of us, because all of us are going to have to fix this. And you may say to yourself, well, Pro, we're on the right side of this. We believe in the dignity and humanity of every single person, and the way that you get back to the place you need to be is to get rid of the hardness of your heart, no matter who you are. Okay, well, I agree with you. We still all have a problem because we're all in this together. We're all on this blue marble together. It's a second. The specter of the second Trump administration is giving studios pause. See, now it's streaming and Trump, streaming and Orange Man. And did even before this November's election. In June 2023, the Supreme Court, for all intents and purposes, ended affirmative action, leaving some in charge wary of their promised initiatives. I've heard people being very cautious about potential lawsuits that could arise from perceived quota systems. They're not perceived. We've looked at the documents. They're there. You all initiated quotas based on skin color. I mean, this is the kind of insanity that Hollywood did in the light of 2020, because Hollyweird is so enamored with socialist and communist ideas. Some of you people are just, you're hyper-focused on this stuff, and you need to let it go. From the ground up, right? If from the ground up and from the top down, simultaneous, it has to come from both sides of this. Bob Iger, the white guy, can't be sailing on his yacht making billions of dollars while he lectures someone, in Santa Fe in a 2-bedroom apartment about their racism and their privileged position based on their immutable differences, right? That doesn't work. So this has to be bottom up and top down, simultaneous. What do you have to do? You have to recognize the inherent, amazing, invaluable dignity and worth of every single person, from the custodian who's working with you, all the way up to the director of the film. Everybody, every single person. Now, I want to pause here for just a moment. I'm going to take you to another article. I want to show you what's really going on. This is from Hot Air. It's by John Sexton. Blake Lively and how Hollywood works behind the scenes. They wanted to divert your attention. They wanted to do the DEI, ESG stuff, and they wanted to do it in such a way that it completely revolutionized and transformed the studios and what they made. And by the way, that's why we're seeing Rachel Zegler's Snow White and what it's going to do, right? That's why that movie will be what it will be. That is why we have seen The Acolyte, is because we brought in people who their goal was not to create art. Their goal was to create propaganda. Their goal was to revolutionize the system, and not in a good way, but rather in an unmeritorious way. Well, this story from Hot Air is amazing because it seems to me that reading through it, Blake Lively and her lawsuit is showing that Hollywood has not changed. And what I mean by that is Blake Lively is alleging that she was treated very, very inappropriately while working on a movie. She's alleging that the director and other people would come in while she was undressed and against her wishes because they wanted to get the chance to see her in that way. And they didn't care that she didn't want to be seen undressed, which seems to me to be just a basic level respect. Like a woman should know that if she says, no, I'm going to be dressed. This is a married woman. She's married to Ryan Reynolds. Like, you have zero respect for her if you decide that you're going to put yourself in that position to see her in that way. It is intentionally corrupt and awful and demeaning and objectifying and all of those things. And so she does this lawsuit. Well, it turns out that in discovery, and I'll go down here. Let me go down here. Okay. This is what she's alleging, and we don't know any of the facts to be absolutely true yet. This is the fog of war in the legal battle. But Mr. Baldoni is, I believe, one of either the director or the executive producer or something. He's the one who's alleged to have forced his way to go see her when she's undressed. In an initial planning document sent to Wayfarer and Mr. Baldoni on August 2nd, Ms. Nathan suggested media talking points, including that Ms. Lively used an imbalance of power to create creative control of the film. Now, this is Baldoni and his legal team, their documents now brought out in discovery, where allegedly they were trying to slime Miss Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife, because she had the audacity to say it was inappropriate for you to force yourself into my spaces where I was not dressed without my permission. It was inappropriate of you to show me inappropriate things on your phone, right? You stepped over the line. I'll read a little bit more, but as I read this, what I want you to know, this is what I'm getting at. They're quietly sunsetting DEI and ESG initiatives. And by the way, lest you be confused, when they say diversity, equity, inclusion, they don't mean what I would mean if I said I want to move to be diverse. I want it, well, I would never say equitable. I would say I want it to have a quality of opportunity. And then if I said, well, we should be inclusive of different ideas and thoughts, right? None of that is what they mean. They don't mean any of that. So while they're getting rid of that, know that the Weinstein stuff is still going on. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that Mr. Baldoni is Weinstein. I want people to be clear about that. This is still the fog of war, but it's pulling back the curtain a little bit so that you can see what happens. And the DEI initiatives, right? The Reimagine Tomorrow at Disney, if you remember that. That, I believe, is supposed to make you believe there's a veneer of virtue that exists in Hollywood. That veneer of virtue destroyed the industry. But below that is absolute, total, and utter corruption in ways that are almost unimaginable, that are made possible by very, truly privileged people, seemingly of many backgrounds. Hey, Diddy! People of all different backgrounds. And they want you to look upon this false virtue that they have regarding skin color and gender and all of that so that you don't look at the real stuff. Here's what it says. Mr. Baldoni wanted more. This is talking about them sliming Blake Lively because she had the audacity to say, I don't want you to come in while I'm undressed. Not in love with the document he sent, he responded in a text exchange that included Miss Abel and Mr. Heath. Not sure I'm feeling the protection I felt on the call. Miss Abel relayed his frustration to Miss Nathan. I think you guys need to be tough and show the strength of what you guys can do in these scenarios. He wants to feel like she can be buried. How dare she say you won't see me nude? Of course. But when we send over documents, we can't send over the work we will or could do because that could get us in a lot of trouble. Miss Nathan responded, this might as well, adding, we can't write, we will destroy her. Moments later, she said, imagine if a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. And what is the effort? To destroy a woman who said, I don't want you to come in here and see me in a way that's inappropriate. Interesting, eh? Going back to the AV Club and to their reporting on the Variety Fair article, it says, of course, there's more to it than that. The article also mentions how many of the DEI consultants hired in or post-2020 came in with suggestions of how to change the task that they were hired to do, but their suggestions fell on deaf or unwilling ears because you hired Marxists. This is what it's all about. You hired Marxists. You didn't hire people who believed in Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision. Like, that's what I believe in. That's what the vast majority of Americans believe in. The idea that people will be judged not based on the color of their skin, but on the content of their heart. That leads us into a paradisal kind of future if we do that. And by the way, the age of abundance seems to me to be on the way when it comes to what technology is about to be able to bring us. So maybe we should go into that era hand in hand, arm in arm, despite what the color of your skin is or where your ancestors came from. Perhaps we should hug each other, especially at this time of year, as brothers and sisters. Maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe we should care about each other's kids as if they're our own as best we can. I realize there's a hierarchy there in terms of your own kid matters to you very much, and it should. But, if things are not going well at a school in an urban area, then we all as a society need to get together and fix it and not say it's something else, a problem somebody else can deal with. If there's someone who is in desperate need that you go by on the streets or, someday, well, I'll tell you a quick story. Here's a quick story. There was a lady on a subway, cold day in the last few weeks. And as she's riding the subway, it's noticed that her gloves have holes in them. Now, she's about 80 years old, or she could be much younger. You know how hard it can be on some people. Some people age more quickly. She's riding the subway, and she's got these huge holes in her gloves. And she's asleep on the subway. And the young man takes his gloves off and lays his gloves on her lap as he exits the subway. 20 degrees outside. And the people in the subway watch that happen. The young man is not of the same skin color, not of the same ethnicity as the lady on the subway. He doesn't do it and wake her up to say, look how good I am. He doesn't take out his phone and video himself as he does it to make sure that he gets credit on TikTok or X. He does it because it's the right thing to do. He does it in the proverbial sense of the left hand not knowing what the right hand is up to. He does it because he has empathy. And I'm sure when that woman woke up on the subway and saw someone had placed gloves there to replace her own, I'm sure that it let her know that somebody still cares. Somebody still loves her. May have inspired her to have a rekindling of faith even in the divine. Folks, it's about time we started doing that again. Hollywood made an attempt to fix the sins of racism, bigotry, and all of that. The Hollyweird version of it was a hastily thrown together Marxist, socialist, communist attempt that falls far short and does more damage than it does to fix anything. The right answer is to get together and to see each other as the important, valuable souls that we are and treat everyone with value and respect and recognize that as you walk by anyone on the street, they know something that you don't know. They have knowledge that you could learn from. They've been places you have not been. They've seen things you have not seen. They've been through things. And you have too. And we all need each other. And finally, I end with this. It says, There are even some concerns about people's titles having equity in them, being scared that that's going to be illegal or unethical at this point. Marston also suggests that companies are doing whatever they can to minimize, quote-unquote, anti-woke backlash. We saw that with Disney recently. We're continuing to see it as they continue to try to get out of the, what would you say? I'll call it the woke backlash. I think there is a backlash against woke, and I think it's appropriate. I think it's very appropriate. I think wokeism is deconstructionism of society, and it's awful, and it's terrible. So, it's on the way out. And the reason that it's on the way out at the time that it is, with these coming out during the holidays, is so that Holly Weird can say they covered it. They just covered it at a time you weren't paying attention. I think it's about time Holly Weird fix its real issues like what we looked at with Blake Lively, stop its perversion, stop its corruption, and start treating everybody with the respect the rest of America has been doing now for quite some time. Folks, that is the video for the afternoon. We have a special edition of the Pro Show coming up this evening at 10 p.m. Eastern. We hope you'll be there. It's after Valiant Renegade. I'll be on the Renegade Online show as well, just as usual. And we'll see all of you over there. Be there or be square. Don't be square. And folks, again, have a wonderful Christmas. Have a happy Hanukkah. A blessed New Year. And find meaning wherever you can. Folks, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
Okay, these colors just seem to conflict with your natural tone.
Wilton, what are you doing?
Obviously, we're getting Jose ready to throw his name in the hat to be the next CEO of Disney.
That's ridiculous. He's not qualified for that kind of role.
Well, of course he is. He's a wonderful candidate for a corporate puppet.
What on earth is happening?
He's literally a foreign agent by all accounts. You think honoring boundaries is a thing? No! This is Disney! He's got diversity points, green skin, and a wig. And most importantly, he likes to destroy things and blow them up, whether they're from the past or from now. He shows no discrimination.
Okay, you know what? I really can't argue with any of that. So,
right?
You two have fun. I'm gonna go read thatparkplace.com and watch WDW.
Okay, bye. Okay, Jose, say magical experiences.
I already hate this.